Alright, welcome back to the channel. We're going to be making some improvements on the car. Unfortunately, the all-wheel drive is not going to be a thing for a while because I cannot afford a drive shaft. So I'll make this car up to jack stand, and I will be getting into what we're going to be getting into. I'm going to be installing coil unplug on my all-wheel drive Civic so we get better ignition so we can make more power in the future. With that said, let me go unbox a couple things, put them on my toolbox, and we'll just kind of go over what we're installing, and then we're gonna go ahead and install it. All right, so right here we got our coil unplug kit. It's a whole setup. Got the separate, got this and a kit together. Even came with hardware. It's pretty fancy, not bad for being from China. Actually looks really good. It's actually feels pretty heavy, so it's actually pretty nice. So I got this cap right here. Like I said, I opted for the black. This is 60 bucks shipped. I got these from a subscriber, Kevin. That saved me probably over 150 bucks. Spark plugs and the coil unplug harness from Nomis Racing. This specific kit is very easy to install. Of course, we got our fancy Motec ECU. If you look on this side, there's our Honda port, and where's our coil unplug port that he cut out? Right there is where you would plug in the harness. I sent this ECU out to him for 430 bucks. He will install all the components on the inside, the harness, and the spark plugs. And it's literally plug and play as soon as you get the stuff installed in the ECU. So right now, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna remove some stuff out of the distributor, and we'll get to installing. And I gotta remove the battery too, so that way I have room, because I gotta run some wires through the firewall. And that's that. Just gonna take this battery out real quick. A couple of reasons. I got my engine harness running back in through there, and what I'm gonna end up doing is running the coil and plug harness through the same hole, so it's nice and tucked. This is gonna come out through. Probably just zip tie it to the harness. I'm honestly surprised this battery terminal is still good. So once again, I will put a link in the description to this whole coil unplug kit. Let's see if there's any crap on the bottom of the battery. Usually the catch can leak. Yep, not much, not as much as last time. So this end right here, that little end right there, we're gonna feed through the firewall, and this will just plug into the small plug on your Dizzy. We'll ground this to the Dizzy bolt, and these are our coils. Goal is to make it neat. However, so it's gonna fight me the whole way. So after much time, I think it's not too much time, but after removing the fuse box, now I gotta find this wire and trying to jam this wire through. And figure out my lighting situation. We got the harness through here. Now I gotta find the damn thing. Oh, there it is. Jeez, dude. All right. Whew. So I could leave it in real time, but I might bore you guys. I'm probably gonna cut a lot of this out. After all that, so here's what is going to the ECU. I'm gonna go in, get everything all plugged in, and we're gonna go into the engine bay, the actual exciting stuff. All right, so we're gonna start by gonna remove this distributor cap, pull off all these wires real quick. We'll no longer be needing these. And once we get that, I'll show you guys something real simple on the inside of this thing. All right, no more Dizzy. I would trust an OEM AWD distributor for sure, but we don't have that anymore. We can't just go to the store and get one. And I need to crank this motor over. Great, so I can get to the rudder. When we're doing this, we can make more power, have more reliable ignition, because this car did have a very intermittent, it's like the ignition felt like it was breaking up, and this spring right here on the coil is rusty, so that's kind of a problem. And this Dizzy's not even that old. This is a Dragonfire distributor, so if you guys are looking to make like 500 horsepower on a V-Series reliably, I would go with the Dragonfire. I've had actually really good luck with this for an aftermarket distributor. Because the other ones from like Rock Auto, O'Reilly, AutoZone, and all that stuff, they just like, they suck ass. So let me get this rotor off, and I'll pick the camera up to show you guys what needs to be ripped out of this thing. Nice. Toss these because I got new ones with the Nomis kit. He sends them out, so they come with the whole kit, like I explained earlier, which is pretty cool. You know, it's a little more than other coil and plug kits, but the service you get is amazing. Nomis Industries. I'll put a link in the bio for that too. Very, very good stuff. Very, very good service. Very fast turnaround time. Dude is awesome. Hit up Nomis Industries for your coil and plug stuff. All right, bam, just like that. We got the screw, so you notice the tip of this rotor is facing the front of the car now. It was like facing like the 11 o'clock position, so the screw is now facing the back where we got a nice opening. So you do not need, obviously you do not need the rotor or the cap. Well, if you don't have an aluminum cap for this, a little beauty plate, what you want to call it, a cover, then you can always reuse your stock cap. You don't have to put the built one on here. I just got it because why not? It was, in my opinion, relatively inexpensive. It's a cool little upgrade. Looks nice. Dude, these rotors are such ass. I'm so glad I'm getting rid of this. It's that V-Series problems. I don't think I've had a V-Series with coil and plug. AKA, I've never had a fast Honda. No, this thing is flying apart. She's stubborn. So yeah, you don't need that rotor. So you gotta remove the coil and the ICM. You don't need to cut any wires. It's all screwed. So look, that is a spring on the coil, all rusted. It was like that like shortly after I got it. It's now at this point it's somewhat old, but yeah. I'll save these screws, save all my hardware. So you got 2 screws for the ICM, 2 screws for the coil. Alright, the biggest flaw with these aftermarket distributors is usually the ICM. Honda uses a Hitachi control module, the ignition igniter. These are just some Chinese ones. I have a couple Hitachi igniters, and they're actually really expensive, and I got them from a junkyard. All right, so your main objective is to remove all this. So this ICM, this wire, I'm assuming is going to get tucked inside the distributor. That is no longer powered, and you can see the harness coming off right there, and I'm assuming all that's going to get tucked back in there as well. So any wires that hold the ICM to the coil together, just leave. Anything that's going inside the distributor, like this wire or this assortment of wires, just unplug and tuck them back. They no longer have power. So these, obviously this one right here, I do not need to unscrew. This one I need to unscrew because it is going in to the distributor. All right, I just broke my microphone. Cool. All right, I gotta speak up. So what's coming out of the distributor is the coil, your igniter, the cap. This is not coming out of it, but it's coming off. You do not need these things anymore. Probably gonna keep the igniter because they're nice to have. I mean, not that I'm gonna be using them. I don't plan on using it. I'm definitely keeping the screws. I think I lost one of the screws in the engine bay, but we're not going to worry about that right now. So let's go button up this distributor and get our coil and plug stuff ran, I guess. So I was talking to, I think his name is Simon at Nomis Industries. He mentioned just simply tuck the wires. So like I said, no cutting, no splicing, no heat shrinking, no taping. Just tuck them back, keep them out of the way. Tuck them back nice and neat. Make sure everything spins, I'm assuming. So this will probably not do that. I'm probably gonna tape them together. I just don't want them getting in the way of the gear in here. Let's just tape these off, and I might actually just cut them. So I lied. We were gonna cut them so we have no wire hanging out. Or yeah, I'm just gonna cut it. All right, no turning back now, boys. Once it's cut. All right, that's cut. That's cut. We are full on. Where'd it go? There it is right here. We are full on dedicated. Coil unplug. Just gonna toss these. So the gasket is still on a distributor. We're gonna throw on our nice CNC piece. See how it fits. It is from China. Fits good. Looks nice and clean too. I love it. Just gonna tighten these. Snug them. They don't need to be super tight. It's on. Completely unnecessary step, but I like to torque these down. I'm torquing these at 13 foot-pounds per the manual. Like I said, unnecessary, but I've dealt with Hondas where spark plug holes are stripped, and I really don't want to deal with that. Or if they're not tight enough, you can probably have ignition problems. Oh man, I didn't tighten these at all, did I? Jesus, dude. Okay. All right, now the exciting part, we got a lot of slack on this harness. Travis light makes my valve cover look like shit from that angle. Maybe it does look like shit. We're going to degrease this engine once we're done. But for now, let's finish this job. Put this on. It goes like that. This nice CNC part. Boom. Now I gotta find some nuts. Alright. Get some shiny ones going. In the back of my mind, I've got the fact that this car has a little drive shaft on it. It's breaking my heart. So it looks like I have some actual acorn nuts that go where the spark plug cover would go. That's pretty cool. This is a really nice coil and plug plate, by the way. 60 bucks, man. You get this and the cap. I'm excited to get it done. And it came with hardware, and it's like pretty decent hardware. It's not like typical Chinese shit that you see. That's what it looks like up close. Looks actually really good. Like I said, minus this grime. I do have to basically pressure wash this whole engine. I'm not too worried about that. We're gonna pull some slack wherever the harness may be. Where did I oh, right here. Looks like we have some good amount of slack already pulled. It's very self-explanatory. I don't know if, oh, their length proper. Their length. So obviously the long one goes to the furthest one away, and so on. Now the question is, Am I able to fit this? I need to move that one, move that nut. All right, so we have our harness ran with the Wireworks harness. Just gonna throw some zip ties right there. The other plug on the Nomis Racing one will plug into your engine harness, a small piece. It only goes in on this one, not to the Dizzy, obviously. And then we are gonna ground this right here underneath the Dizzy, the bottom bolt, because it just looks nicer. But before I do that, one thing I could do, since I have a Dragonfire one, or Dragonfire distributor, and it's powder coated, I'm gonna clean up all this, kind of sand it away. Not all of them, but the one that I'm gonna have. This one right here, the one that I'm gonna have the ground on, that's gonna be sanded to bare metal on this side and the front side, so I can get a proper ground. With that said, we pretty much have this thing installed. What you gotta do is to put the distributor back on. I didn't want to take a distributor off, but I had to, so I can clean it up. And when I did, I noticed how much lighter this thing is. Obviously, because it doesn't have the igniter and the coil in it. So I'm gonna go ahead and sand this, put it back on, and I will show you guys pretty much the end product. And we're gonna plug in the battery, bolt the fuse box back down, and I'm gonna try to start this thing up. All right, now that I have my scratched up safety glasses on, we're gonna see if this wire wheel will remove. Hey! And it sure does. Got the back side of the Dizzy ground down, so it gets a nice good contact with the engine. And we got the front side, so the bolt gets a nice, good contact with the Dizzy and the engine. All right, so one more thing you guys can do when you install this coil unplug set kit, or what do you want to call it. You know, the OWD distributors have two plugs. The main one, and you have your one, I think has is it RPM signal and some other shit. Maybe I got it wrong, but you can actually, since we cut it from the inside, you can actually just pull that plug out, and it just comes out, slips right out of this little rubber right here, and maybe throw some adhesive in here, some kind of like silicone to block any kind of water or any kind of dirt, and then went ahead and just toss it in the garbage. So that's one little thing you can do, makes it look a little neater, because we're not going to be needing that plug. And was able to locate two really nice bolts. I'm just going to use that temporarily until I can get some black bolts, possibly, maybe with the Ace hardware. But that's the importance of keeping your hardware. Now I have those, they kind of look nice, but I'm going to get some black ones anyway, but ready to put this back on. All right, so when I mentioned that you're still using the distributor, you use the magnets in there, or use it for the crankshaft position sensor. Now when you have it standalone, you would run a cam trigger that tells you your crankshaft position. However, we're not running a standalone, and we still have the distributor. However, or good news though, we're not using the parts that wear out in it, such as the cap, the rotor, the coil, which was I think an issue with this one, and the biggest of all, the ignition control module. So I'm gonna go ahead and tighten this distributor back up, put the ground back on. Distributor is not plugged in on that one. We got the Nomis Racing plugged into the harness of the engine. I'm just gonna plug this distributor plug in and get everything wrapped up. We're gonna just try to start this thing up. All right, so coil and plug is installed. Got the cap on there for the delete, whatever you're gonna call it. It's just a cap to cover up the internals. We got the plate on there to mount the coil packs on. All the wires ran right there, and we have a zip tied to the main wire harness of the engine. Only thing I gotta do is, you guys can't really see it. You know, I'll show you some other time, but I gotta basically put some rib nuts so I can bolt up my ECU versus having it nut and bolted onto that plate. It was just such a pain in the ass. I got the battery tied back down, terminals are tight, everything's ran neat, everything's cleaned up. Now we gotta do our first start with the coil unplug. And I'm super excited. Let's get to it. amazing. It started up very fast. It started to idle. Usually it wants to die when it's cold because of the cams, the injectors, and all that shit. But it's running great right now. And I have solid ignition timing. I'm pretty sure it's going to stay more consistent. I want to go rip on it, but I'm not going to rip on it right now because it's front wheel drive. Just kidding, I lied. I'm going to go drive it. Of course I got to go drive it. All right, I can't go too crazy, but I can do some light pulls because my rear diff is kind of loose.